Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of the SEGA News Bits. I'm your host George and with me is Barry.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about, well, SEGA announced or kind of said in their like press or physical, what do they call these things? Like physical reports that they're gonna be reviving major IPs. And one of the things they said in this whole thing is this is the roadmap to 2020. This isn't new. Sega's been kind of teasing that they wanted to do this. Last year they did a survey asking Japanese fans what franchises they wanted to see revived. We did a video on that one and we did an article. You could look at the whole list. There's 3 categories. Today we'll talk about the revival games they talked about. This is from the survey last year. This is what Japanese people wanted, and this could hint at what major IPs they want to revive. Number 1 was Sakura Wars, 2 was Jet Set Radio, Virtual On, Shenmue, Virtual Fighter, Panzer Dragoon, Shining Force, Skies of Arcadia, Streets of Rage, and Nights into Dreams. And one of the things they said in this whole thing was that they wanted it to be a global IP and be a hit worldwide. What is your whole ideas about this, Barry?
Well, it's, you know, just out of those games you mentioned, not to plug something we just did, the top 100 SEGA games list that we did, almost all of those games are in the top 10 outside of Sakura Wars.
Yeah, and that's very Japanese heavy game.
Right, and if they want to make something that really appeals to a worldwide audience, I don't think they would pay attention to that one, unfortunately. But yeah, I do think it's interesting. I mean, I've long said that they could revive Streets of Rage very easily. It's a beloved. I think it's the most popular IP out of all of those in terms of like a worldwide acceptance.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The other thing that I saw here was Nights into Dreams. I feel like they tried that already. I feel like Sega's tried a lot of games. Like I think they did Sega Rally. They did Shinobi. They tried to bring back. I can't remember the other one. Well, House of the Dead. I think that was a successful reboot, but they stopped for no reason. But like you said, that one's easy. I think Virtual Fighter 5 wasn't that popular, but I feel like there was a lot of steps that they screwed up with on that game. They didn't build hype. I feel like Virtual Fighter 4 did a lot better in America. So, I don't know. Is there room for another fighting game in the fighting game community?
It's tricky. I mean, I feel like they'll need to rethink how they release it. I don't think you can just release it to arcades, wait a few years, and then release it to consoles. I really think it needs to be both PC and arcade. I feel bad leaving consoles out of it. Maybe consoles too. It's just, I don't know. Like maybe they can make a deal with Sony. You know, PS4 exclusive. No offense to Xbox One people.
And on this list, I think you'll agree with this one. Jet Set Radio would make a comeback easily.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's super popular. I feel like it's really grown in acceptance and fandom, nostalgia-wise. I don't think it was that popular when it released. I don't know how well it sold, but then again, that was SEGA of America kind of mucking up. You know, and you can listen to our SEGA Talk podcast where we really give a lot of grief to SEGA of America and how they handled the marketing of that game.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Virtual On already has a game announced. This is the 3rd one on this list from the last year, and they already brought that one back. They did that whole A Magical Card Index. We did a video on that too. Probably going to be on the description. And so yeah, they're doing this. Another one in here is Panzer Dragoon, which is kind of weird because like I feel like Sega really tried, you know, on the Sega Saturn, and I'm pretty sure they did well for a Sega Saturn game. And then they tried again on the Xbox, and it didn't work out that well. But I mean, I think when they tried all these games on Xbox, a lot of them failed, from what I've seen.
Yeah, and there was also Crimson Dragon, which you've got to assume that the, you know, both sides, Japanese and Western, saw those sales figures and saw how that went, and just probably it turned them off from continuing the franchise.
And I just want to tell people that in the thing, they didn't really say what they wanted. Like they didn't hint at anything. They just said revival of major IPs. That's it. That's one of their goals.
Right, and this list is from fans voting.
Yeah, this is voting, but they seem to be listening to fans now. I think this is like part of the new Sega. So I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of these franchises on this list actually come back like Virtual On already did. But I think I've seen a lot of people like naming 1,000 games that I don't think are global hits on the internet, and I think people should, you know, keep their expectations low. I mean, think about the big franchises Sega has. I think it's like Jet Set Radio. I can't even think of another. Oh, Streets of Rage, Shinobi. I think the House of the Dead, Crazy Taxi. I think games like those are going to be easily global hits, you know what I mean?
Right, and I think we should really pay attention to how well Sonic Mania does, because Streets of Rage, I think, is the one franchise that really would lend itself well to staying in that 16-bit graphics. Or, you know, like, what if they made Streets of Rage 4 with some of the Japanese development team, but, you know, largely an American or, you know, Western development team, because we do know that there was that attempt not too long back, and the old guard at Sega cracked down on them. What was it, Streets of Rage Remake, or?
Yeah, Streets of Rage Remake, I think that's what it's called.
And so, I mean, I feel like they should really build those bridges again. I'm not saying, like, just hire those guys, but I just think it would be a great idea, because I feel like we've moved past that whole thing where you have a 16-bit game and then you try to move it into 3D. You don't need to do that now. I think people are happy to play 2D games again.
I think there's a big indie scene, you know, that have kind of popularized this whole 2D graphic aesthetics that these old developers used to use and Sega used to excel at.
Yeah.
So I hope they bring it back. And I'm gonna ask you guys a question. What franchise do you think of Sega can be a global hit if it was brought back? Anything is on your wish list that isn't a global hit but you wish would come back? Just you know, give us out run through.